The opening chapters of Genesis have been a source of controversy for a long time, particularly with the rise of science and Darwin's theory of evolution. But debates about the scientific questions in Genesis have often caused us to overlook the more important questions that this account is answering. Genesis truly lays the foundations for our faith, but not in ways that we might think it does. To better appreciate this, we need to understand the backdrop of the ancient world. At the time of Genesis, other creation accounts told a very different story. In one account, creation is a result of a cosmic conflict between two leading gods, Marduk and the mother goddess Tiamat. They battle it out. Marduk kills Tiamat, and he uses her carcass to create the heaven and the earth. Then he takes her blood and creates humanity to do all the hard work of the universe. In other words, humanity is created from the leftovers and becomes a slave to the gods. This story defined how ancient people thought of themselves, and then they acted out of that. Now, let's take another look at the big story in Genesis. After God had made everything in the natural world, God comes to the last thing, humanity. See how this account is written differently. Here, it's the climactic moment, the final voila. Notice how it says that all of creation is deemed good. The stars, the trees, the fish, the animals. But after creating humanity, God says that it was very good. Then we see that God's beautiful creation is made for humanity to enjoy. God says, be fruitful, fill the earth and subdue it. Look after it. I've given everything as food for you. There's no thought of leftovers here. There's no idea that humanity is slave labor for the gods. But there's more. Genesis goes on to say that men and women are made in the image of God. What does that mean? Again, this makes more sense when you understand the background. In the ancient Near East, it was understood that every god dwelt in his or her own temple. An image of the god would be placed inside the temple to represent the god. Then the priests would come along and pray to invoke the spirit of the god to indwell the image. So when people visited the temple, they bowed down to the image. Note the difference in Genesis. What is God's temple? It's not a building made of stone. It's the whole of creation, the Garden of Eden. But where is the image in this temple? It's men and women. It's not a stone statue, it's humanity. And later we see how God invokes his spirit into the image when he breathes on Adam. Can you see what God is saying about who we are? We are not God's leftovers. We are made in God's image so that we can represent him and carry God's presence into every aspect of God's world. We are of enormous value, the pinnacle of God's creation. And it's not just you and me who've been made in God's image and crowned with glory and honor. God's image is seen in the eyes of every single person. Each one of us has been created to bring God's glory and to reflect the divine nature. As the psalmist declared, what is mankind that you are mindful of them? Human beings that you care for them. You've made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. This truth changes the way we see ourselves. Knowing our worth in God's eyes forms our identity and helps us to understand our place in the world. This is the beauty of God's big story in Genesis. May we see ourselves and everyone around us the way God does. Thanks for listening today to Everyday God Conversations. So good to have you here. Join us on the journey to hearing God's voice by subscribing to our email devotional plan at godconversations.com. We'd love to help you. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.